Hello everyone, Tyler King here with a new episode of NuReview. The Human Bobblehead is back. I apologize for the long wait. My previous computer broke on a trip to Chicago, and so finally I'm back. I'm ready. I'm going to just dive in, do a review of the 1991 Gary Numan album, Outland. So Outland is going to be the second and last album of his released on IRS Records. This is his first album of the 90s. Gary Numan has self-produced this album. He also plays virtually every instrument on here. Dick Morrissey from previous Numan albums is going to appear on the track Dream Killer, and Russell Bell is going to make an appearance playing the guitar on the title track of the album. So let's just go straight into it. This is Outland, Gary Numan, 1991. Go. So we open up with the aptly titled Interval 1. It's this very ominous sounding song with this very deep, heavy percussion going on. There are these very watery, kind of cascading sounding synthesizers. There's a sampled spoken word segment in the song, and the way that it builds up, the way that it goes on, it kind of makes me think maybe I'm about to hear a brand new Gary Numan. Maybe this is a Gary Numan that was only hinted at during the later 80s during albums like The Fury and Metal Rhythm and Strange Charm, and we're about to find out on the next song. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, Soul Protection, which is the first proper song on the album, is just yet another synth-funk number that is in the same vein as any of the songs that appeared on the previous album. There's some funky guitar a la the song Fame by David Bowie, which is something that I have referenced before going on previous Gary Numan albums, but that and the female backing vocalist, it just doesn't add anything new to Gary Numan's sonic palette at this point. In fact, the only thing of note about the song is just one of the lines on it where he says, "You're living under clock law," which is just a mention or a reference to a previous song, Love Like Clock Law, from the Warriors album in 1983. Next we have Confession, which again opens ominously like Interval 1, before the backing vocals get all, "Where?" and "Come on!" and it's just another forgettable throwaway synth-funk number yet again. It's a little more up-tempo, it's a little easier to tap your foot to, it's kind of more fun feeling, but the lyrics are downright laughable. Party time, one more night, everybody's affected. There's a line about his budding atheism. He says, "I'd lie to God if it could make him believe," but I never in my entire life ever need to hear Gary Numan singing about party time. Next we have My World Storm. Opens with the backing vocalist singing "This is New Vengeance," and at this point I am so tired of Gary Numan telling me what this is. It opens with the lines, "I like noise, I suck art," and then he immediately says, "I like romance when it's in my car." Ah. The chorus is sung entirely by the backing vocalists, and Gary ends up singing, "Sold out, no shit, I don't need approval, and I don't need this." And this is one of my biggest issues with this album and with the previous one, Metal Rhythm, is that Gary is complaining about his lack of sales and how the radio hates him and how his reviews are all bad, but the music shows it. This is an issue with kind of the trilogy of Metal Rhythm, Outland, and Machine and Soul, is that the instrumentation on the album is very up-tempo, it's very funky, synthy stuff, but the lyrics are a little bit darker. They're trying to convey something that the instrumentation just doesn't do. And Gary, don't immediately then turn around and sing, "I like cars, I like fame, I like people when they call my name." Next up we have Dream Killer, which I just have to say is a very awesome song title. It opens again very ominously like Interval 1 yet again, but then it opens up into this more gentle feeling ballad. This is the first one that we're going to have on the album. Instrumentally, it's very sparse. There's a drum machine rhythm and some fretless bass and these very airy sounding synthesizers going on, and it's a very welcome addition to the previous 3 almost interchangeable songs that have been on the album so far. Gary is singing about somebody who has hurt him, and he even mentions that this person has hurt his father, his mother. He even mentions his brother in it. After that, Dick Morrissey makes his token saxophone solo. It wouldn't be a ballad by Gary Numan from the mid-80s through the early 90s without a Dick Morrissey saxophone solo in it. And then towards the end, Gary sings that he's old news and that he's tired of fame. And the sentiment that he expresses on this song is much more believable and sincere feeling than anything that he has sang so far on the entire album. Next we have Dark Sunday, which is again another very cool song title. It opens very ominously. Yet again, there's some guitars emulating almost a siren sound. It's a little reminiscent of the opening of the song All Time Low by 9 Inch Nails from their 2013 album Hesitation Marks. Once Gary does start singing, it's in a much lower register than we're used to. He sings, again, some kind of anti-God lyrics. You think God will forgive me soon? But the lyrics aren't anywhere near as condescending and vindictive as they're going to eventually get. Musically, again, it's another synth-funk number. It's not as offensive as some of the songs that we've heard so far, but again, it's just wholly unmemorable. Next, we have Outland, the title track. The first 20 seconds of the song, you guessed it, is another ominous opening, and then once the song starts, it's another, you guessed it, synth-funk number. And granted, this one does have a bit of a faster tempo than any of the songs so far. Lyrically, the song seems to be about some kind of ominous, sexy thing going on, but the female backing vocalist, big surprise, just deflate the song of any oomph or power that it would otherwise have had. Russell Bell makes an appearance on this song, playing these very squalling, noisy guitar parts, but it just doesn't help to save the song from mediocrity. The only part about it that I really like is the chorus that goes, I'm in Outland, I'd give anything. Following that, we have Heart. This is, again, another ominous opening, but after that it turns into another ballad. And Gary's voice on this song is probably about as strong and full of emotion as it's going to get on this entire album. There are lots of very gentle feeling, far off piano keys as he sings about a relationship that has gone sour. This is after the breakup, and this is now another familiar lyrical theme, at least as far as his ballads go. The song does end a little bit abruptly. I wish that it was a little bit longer, but it does help to shake it up, and it does help me to forget the 2 throwaway songs that I heard before it. Following this, we have Interval 2, and Interval 2 is literally just 20 seconds of some distorted voice saying some spooky stuff. It is useless. It has no reason to be on this album. It doesn't add anything to it, and it's probably the most useless track or song or whatever you want to call it on any Gary Numan album. I am including the Prince cover, You Got the Look, which is going to come next on the Machine and Soul album. There is no reason for this song to exist. And then we have From Russia Infected, which is, of course, another up-tempo synth-funk song. I mean, I think it's an anti-war song. I'm not sure. And the lyrics on here are abysmal. These are probably the worst lyrics on the entire album. Lyrically, there's another mention of party time, Levi jeans, and then instrumentally, for whatever reason, I have no idea why he did this, but the instrument that is pushed to the foreground over every other instrument on this song is this corny, fake-sounding synth horn. This song is just embarrassing to listen to. There is nothing good about this song. And then following that, we have interval 3, which is, again, you guessed it, just another ominous, short little song thing. Just like interval 2, it doesn't add anything to the album. This one goes on a little bit longer than interval 2 does, but it's weird that interval 1 is put at the very beginning of the album, which I get. It makes sense numerically, but interval 2 and interval 3 are just one song apart from each other. I just don't know why he didn't space them apart more evenly. Following this, we have another full song. This is Devotion, and in my book, any song that opens with synth horn is probably going to be a god-awful song, and Devotion is no exception to that rule. Following that, we have, again, some very amateurish synth-funk sounding numbers, and the backing vocalist going woo 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 all over the place. Gary starts singing. It's just this inoffensive, forgettable fluff. But then the chorus comes in, which is literally just the backing singer singing, "Dance, let's move." There's a sax solo towards the end in the middle of this instrumental passage that is just completely unnecessary, and there's more, again, unnecessary female backing vocalist towards the end of this song, and it's just, it's like From Russia Infected. It's completely unnecessary. And then finally we have Whisper, and the album closes out, surprise, with a ballad. There's some squalling guitar going on in here. Again, of course, we have more fragile sounding piano keys being played. Instrumentally, I'll say it's a step above Heart, although I think that the vocal delivery on Heart was a little more heartfelt, a little better. And the backing vocals, there's a part about 3 minutes in where they kind of overpower Gary's vocals. That actually fits in well with the song. As far as the songs on Outland go, this is probably going to be the best one of the bunch, and it's a good song. It's just very frustrating because I just wish that the other songs on this album had been given the same treatment that this one had, and that's Outland. Now, as you can probably tell, Outland is not an album I really ever go out of my way to listen to, ever. Pretty much everything past and in kind of including Strange Charm up until Sacrifice, which is going to come out in 1994, are albums that I avoid like the plague. And I know that the next album that's going to come out, Machine and Soul, is often derided and called the worst album of Gary Numan's career, but I would argue that Outland is actually a worse album. And the reason why is that whereas on an album like Machine and Soul, of course you have the throwaway Prince cover, but besides that, it's mainly just inoffensive synth funk. There's no songs that are going to be found on Machine and Soul besides You Got the Look that I think are wholly offensive. And you have a few of those songs on Outland, as well as a couple of interval tracks that don't really do anything or complement any of the songs or that enhance the listening experience. On an album like Replicas, which is ended with 2 instrumental songs, those feel necessary to the album. When you listen to The Pleasure Principle, it opens with Airlane, which feels necessary to the album. Even the first interval song on here doesn't do anything. If anything, it's just a cock tease, because it makes you think that this is it. This is going to be the heavy Gary Numan album that he's been promising over the course of Strange Charm and Metal Rhythm, and it's not. It's just another forgettable, deridable, horrible album. I mean, as far as worst songs on the album go, it is impossible to choose. And one of the reasons why is that so many of the songs on here sound the same. So, I mean, Soul Protection, My World Storm, From Russia Infected, Devotion. I mean, there's not really any song on here, save for the 3 ballads, that makes me even remember any of the songs that I've just heard. I mean, yes, Dreamkiller, Heart, and Whispers are going to be the best three songs on the album, but as far as ballads go, they're not even as good as something like Complex or, I mean, really any ballad that Gary has done so far. They only stick out because the rest of the songs are so bad. I mean, it's just not a good album. It's not a good album at all. I would never go out of my way to listen to this album from front to back. I've only listened to it maybe 4 or 5 times in my entire life, and I am like, as an avid Gary Numan fan, this is my least favorite Gary Numan album, bar none. I would go so far as to give it a 2 out of 10. It's not getting a 1 just because of those three ballads, but besides that, and maybe a little bit of the title track, there's nothing on here that I ever want to hear again in my entire life. And that's my review of Outland. So, what do you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Leave any and all creative criticisms in the comment box below. Or call me the human bobblehead again. Whatever. Don't care. I'm going to get to the review of Machine and Soul as soon as I can. Uh, Again, I apologize for the wait. I'm really going to, like, do my best to continually update as much as I can. So, this is Tyler King with a new review, Gary Numan, Outland, album review, 2 out of 10. Sorry.